life's been hard. I think a lot of people are feeling that, so I don't feel alone in that statement. But I think a lot of people are struggling right now, and I'm literally right there with you. It's been a hard week. My grandpa passed away a week from today. Zachary's grandmother passed away 2 days ago. So that's been hard. And you know, like when you lose someone in a family, you're trying to help comfort everyone else in the family too, and you're providing for other people, and it takes a toll on you. And I feel like death is around everyone right now. I feel like just everyone is losing someone right now, or at least more than normal, it feels like. And I think we're just all kind of going through it. I'm going through it. I'm sure a lot of you are, and we're kind of all in this together. We did try to do Zachary's birthday celebrations over the weekend. Well, we did do them. We didn't try to. We actually, you know, we had lunch and hung out with my family on Saturday, and then we did lunch and hung out with his family on Sunday. And I started getting so anxious on Sunday. If you've been with me for a long time on my channel, you know that I used to have the worst crippling anxiety, like day to day, and it was really so detrimental to my health. And after a few years of being with Zachary, it actually subsided, and I rarely ever get anxiety at all anymore. It started coming back a little bit in the fall of 2020 after something pretty traumatic happened, but I got over that pretty quickly and was doing okay. And I feel like now, with just losing people and trying to be the strong backbone for the family, is really causing my anxiety to flare back up again. So while Zachary's family was over yesterday, I just started having a panic attack, and I had to go upstairs, and kind of ended the night that way. I never ended up going back downstairs, which is sad, but it also is a reminder that sometimes things are just hard and you have to deal with them, and you can't really worry too much about what people are going to think or say or feel about it, because you kind of have to put yourself first sometimes. And I'm still definitely putting my family first, because like obviously I think my grandma is struggling more than the rest of us because her husband died, right? It was just my grandfather, which, like, yes, I'm sad and I miss my grandpa, but I think my grandma needs the support more than the rest of us, and my mom, since she lost her dad. So yeah, I don't know, I just guess we're all going through it, and we can do it together. And just make sure like you're giving yourself grace in this period. Sitting down and getting in my Bible and praying has helped me so much. I think if I wasn't strong in my faith right now, like if I was in a different season of life that I've been in before, this would be a much harder experience. But I've been praying every day. I've been reading my Bible every day. I've just been really, I feel like this with the Lord recently, and that's helped tremendously. So that's a little update from me. I'm at the grocery store. I just actually finished my grocery shopping. I'm gonna go home and put all of that away, and then I got some things for my grandma as well to take over to her place. You know what, you guys? I just feel like we need to talk it out. Oh. It's amazing how doing so little can still make you so emotionally and mentally exhausted. I know that yesterday I was talking about just like doing things for yourself, and I definitely like did some things for myself yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, like I still don't really feel like myself. I still feel kind of off. I sort of feel like I'm not catering to myself at all. I'm just doing what the people around me need from me at the time, which is necessary sometimes, and I get that, but it's just so draining. Today I got up early and went over to my grandmother's house, and I took her to her church class, which I think this is really important to note, that if you are going through some kind of grieving process, or you've lost someone in your life, I think it's actually really important to try to stick with your routine. Obviously it's not going to be the same if a lot of the things in your routine were with that person, but I think sticking to routine is still so important because you're used to this routine, and it's going to get you back to normalcy quicker, I would say. Plus you're like seeing other people. I think it gets hard when you lose someone, and instead of trying to walk forward and continue on with your day-to-day things, and you just sit and wallow in the silence and the loneliness, I think that's when it gets really hard and even harder to heal from. So I think routine is like super important. So I was glad to take my grandma to church today, and I sat in on the class with her, like a class of a bunch of seniors, which is so funny. If you've grown up in the church with your grandparents around, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But when all of your grandparents' friends come up to you and, oh my gosh, I remember when you were 4 years old and you look so grown up, and they want to know about your school and your job and your whole life, it's nice to know that there's people around that care. One of the church's pastors came up and spoke to us and was really friendly, said that he's been praying for our family. He's a really cool guy. Brendan Luritz, if you guys are interested. He's a senior pastor at Shadow Hills, which is where we sometimes go to church. We're kind of bouncing back and forth between Shadow Hills Baptist and Foothills Baptist. But anyways, the routine of going back to a church class, I could tell, was like really beneficial for my grandmother. And then I took her to the ATM so she could get some cash, and I took her to Arby's. She wanted a little sandwich from Arby's, so we picked up some lunch and took her back home. I think that was just good for all of us. It was good for the both of us to get out and see people, and it was good for all of her friends to be able to see her and see that she's doing okay. But at the end of the day, like, I still feel pretty drained. I tried to get back into my own routine. I brought my big calendar with me and all my highlighters and pens so I could try to plan out the month of March. But even that is just stressful, you know what I mean? Like, taking it just one day at a time is a lot right now. I don't feel as though I'm being very insightful or helpful, but it feels good to talk about it, and I'm sure there's someone out there kind of going through the same thing. So I don't know, maybe this is comforting to you. Like, I'm right there with you, with just kind of not knowing the next step, the next move. We have a few weeks until we even do my grandpa's celebration of life, and then a little while after that till we do the actual funeral ceremony for him being a veteran and all of these things. So it's like the process is being dragged out, that makes it hard. Like, you kind of want to just be over and done with it. And I think it makes it hard on everyone that you're kind of in this waiting period of like, okay, we'll do the celebration of life in 3 weeks, and then a month later we'll put the urn in the ground. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess everyone grieves at their own process though. Some people might be happy about that, but I'm looking forward to out-of-town family coming in. I rarely get to see Louisiana family, and the last time my parents took a trip up there, I didn't get to go. I rarely get to see them, but they'll all be coming out here. Definitely feel blessed to have the amount of family and friends that genuinely care about our family and are doing everything they can to make us feel comforted and taken care of. My grandma has had so many people cook for her and deliver it to her house so she doesn't have to worry about cooking, and she's gotten gift cards and all kinds of love, flowers, all the things. I think my mom got some flowers too, so it's been nice. We've definitely felt the love, and I think that makes it easier, but it'll never be easy to lose a family member. And this is truly the first family member that I've ever lost that I knew. I mean, I've had great grandparents pass away while I was alive, but I didn't really know them, not ever since I was old enough to actually remember meeting them. So this has been hard, and it's hard to try to stay strong for everyone else. I didn't want to break down in front of my grandma or my mom and just make it harder for them. I want to be that strong person for them, but man, there's just sometimes I just start crying. I don't want to cry right now. I'm not in the mood to cry. I have things to do right now. There was a night I took a shower and I got out of the shower and I don't know what it was, but sadness just took over me. I wasn't even thinking about my grandpa. I just broke down and crying and I was like, what is wrong with me? And then I don't know, I guess it just clicked in my head that I was just grieving, you know, and it just hits you at the most random times. And I'm sure that'll happen for a while. You know, it's been a week. It's been 1 week. I feel like I'm doing really good for 1 week. It's definitely weird that someone used to be here and they're not here. And it's so sudden. It's like one day he went to the hospital and the next day he was gone, and I do want to share. Can I share a story with you guys? I've blabbed long enough that if you didn't care, you'd already be gone. So for those of you that are still here, I'm going to share a story with you because I think it's really sweet. And my grandma keeps repeating it, but without giving you too much detail, my grandpa was rushed to the hospital on a Sunday morning. He had a really bad headache and then he like wasn't able to function anymore. So my grandma called 911. It was all very sudden and they took him in the ambulance to the hospital. Turns out his blood pressure was over 220. We don't know how it got that high, but it caused him to have a brain bleed because I guess a vein like popped in his brain because of the blood pressure being so high. So they took him in and they were watching him, and you know, things weren't progressing. The only way to fix a brain bleed is for it to close itself up. They can't do a surgery or anything like that. So it was just in hopes that the blood would clot itself, and that obviously didn't happen. And because the blood had spread so much throughout his brain and the brain was so swollen, he was brain dead, and we found that out the morning after he got to the hospital when the neurologist came in. That's why they decided to take him off life support, because he was completely brain dead. You know, he's not really there anymore. They you know, unhooked everything, took everything off, and he had just been still laying in bed for the 24 hours or whatever because he really wasn't there with us. So when they unhooked everything and, you know, really pulled the plug, I guess you would say, he moved his arms and he put them on his chest like this. Like he literally, you can't see me, but he took his hands, they were by his side, and he moved them one at a time and put them on his chest just like this. I don't know, that gives me chills. I think that was just the Lord just telling all of us that he's in heaven now and living a better life than any of us ever will since he's in heaven. Well, just wanted to kind of share like where I'm at, how I'm feeling. If you are too, I'm right there with you. And I don't know, I just hope maybe like this was helpful for you, or even just comforting, that we can just sit and talk. I wanted this to be about life being hard and it being okay. And that's what I hope I have accomplished for you. So thank you for watching, and I'm praying for you and I'm praying for us, and we'll get through it. But thank you for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.